Hey everybody, it's your buddy's pal Anthony. Today, I want to start talking about the absolute universe that's occurring in DC Comics. However, before we do that, what the hell is the absolute universe and why is DC just seemingly randomly throwing another alternate universe into the mix? Well, to answer that, we have to go take a look at Absolute Power and Justice League Unlimited #1, which spun out of Absolute Power. Spoilers after the intro. Steve, hit it please. Thank you, Steve. Absolute Power was a book where basically Amanda Waller, she knows all the secrets about the heroes. She creates an air of distrust towards the superhero community. She's using the failsafe robot that Batman had built as one of her allies. She seemingly has the Green Arrow as her ally. A whole lot of crazy shit. And by the way, I never really got a satisfactory answer in story as to whether or not it was the failsafe robot or the failsafe robot's body controlled by the Zur-Anar personality. I think it was just the failsafe robot, but I don't really, unless I missed it, please tell me if I missed it. I didn't really see a definitive answer to that. During this whole run, Waller is, like they always are in these books, one step ahead of the heroes. She's winning at every turn, the heroes are on their heels the entire time. So in issue #4, they finally go on the offensive, all the little side missions, because there were of course 1001 separate side books that you had to read to understand what's going on in the main book. All the heroes converge on Amanda Waller, who had taken over the Hall of Justice, by the way. They're attacking her, they're gaining the upper hand. She has some alternate reality flashes in the mix to try to help her, and she's pulling in a couple of villains here and there from alternate universes. During the final confrontation, when they're trying to close off the gateway, Barry Allen, the Flash, exclaims that, if he closes the portal, for some reason it's going to cut them off from the multiverse permanently, and he does that, and that's important for something that comes on in Justice League Unlimited #1. At the conclusion of Absolute Power, the heroes, all of whom had their powers stolen by Amazo robots that Failsafe had created, all their powers get returned. Amanda Waller ends up in prison, and they kind of do not exactly the same thing that some of the heroes did to Dr. Light way back in Identity Crisis, but they do something to her mind where she knows all these secrets about the heroes and the intelligence community, basically everything that makes her Amanda Waller. However, whenever she goes to access it, she can't, because it's like that, I know the name of that song. Oh, cool, what is it? As soon as you go to say it, you're just, So that's what they've done to her, and we end this with her locked away. As I've said, this also leads into Justice League Unlimited #1, which leads into the Absolute Universe. So, Justice League Unlimited #1. Actually, I beg your pardon, because I've been saying this all leads to Justice League Unlimited #1. I was wrong. Perfect. There is a DC All-In Special #1, which picks up after the events of Absolute Power, and that is where the Absolute Universe kicks off from. So, the DC All-In Special. Basically, All-In Special #1, it's the Justice League reforming, and as they've done in the past, they're going to do it better and bigger and all this other shit. So all the heroes gather at the newly formed Watchtower, and Mr. Terrific is making a speech. Towards the end of it, something weird starts happening with the Justice League identification cards, and then next thing you know, through a boom tube, Darkseid has emerged with an axe from one hand, and Superman exclaims that he's bonded with the Spectre, which is terrifying. So Darkseid is even more powered up than ever before. He just completely decimates the tower, and the heroes, of course, give it their best, but there's really nothing they can do to stop him. Some of the magical members of the League perform a spell empowering Superman, who confronts Darkseid, and as he's getting hit with an Omega Beam, he, in reverse, says, "Free him," referring to Darkseid freeing the Spectre from his control. And as that happens, Darkseid thanks him, exclaims, Darkseid ends, and in the background you'll see a version of Earth and a red version of Earth seeming to form, and then Darkseid disappears. Everybody's like, wait, did he thank us? After the battle, the main heroes are discussing everything. Orion tells everybody that Darkseid isn't back on Apokolips, and he's going to have to go, because if Darkseid is truly gone, then since Darkseid is a constant in the universe, there's going to be a new Darkseid, essentially. So he has to go back to New Genesis and prepare things. They're all looking at this Justice League ID card that somehow absorbed his anti-life energies, and now it's a Darkseid identification card. Anyway, Mr. Terrific says they've been cut off from the multiverse. However, they are able to detect this new universe. Mr. Terrific says that there's a flow of time is weird on that world and dangerous, and only somebody who has a abundance of tachyon particles would be able to go there. And Booster Gold comes walking in saying, well, somebody like me, because I'm a time traveler. The issue ends with Booster jumping into the rift and ending on what I guess will become the Absolute Universe's homeworld. He's cut off from the main Justice League. As the issue comes to a close, Booster looks up into the sky. There's Darkseid and just a whole horde of, some of them seem like variations of heroes and villains. And Darkseid explains he has his army, he has his legion. And that leads us to the Absolute Universe. Also in the All-In special, in the backup, there is this story pretty much told all over again from Darkseid's point of view, where Darkseid actually kills Calabac in this issue. We see him rampaging through Apocalypse and Hell and even Heaven until he ultimately forcefully bonds with the Spectre. On one of the final pages of the backup story, we see, I guess, what is the Absolute Universe world being formed, and Darkseid's monologuing. If that world, the main DC world, is driven by life and hope, this one would be driven by challenge and turmoil. He says he's free, there's no bounds, there's no relationships between him and Earth and the Kryptonian or anything that had bound him before. And we see versions of Absolute Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman. Basically, it's him just saying how this universe, this world is his, and it seems like he's finally, maybe I'm reading too much into this, I guess he's finally become a god, or god, period. And that's how we got to the Absolute Universe. In the next video, we're going to take a look at Absolute Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and I'll just make note of some of the main differences because I've read Absolute Batman, I have to catch up on the other two, but there are some pretty big differences between the main DC Universe and the Absolute DC Universe versions of these characters. If you have a minute, head over to YouTube, search Nerd Affiliated. You'll find all of our past videos. There we have a live show once a week, Hey Archer Live, Thursdays, 8:15-ish in the PM. The boss helps us wind down the work week. Sometimes he has a guest, sometimes he does an unboxing. If you're a member of the Nerd Affiliated Army, which you can join for just $1 a month, you're going to get a link which will let you try to join the show, and you can discuss whatever's on your mind with the boss. Lastly, head over to nerdaffiliated.com. There you're going to find the boss's photography and our merch store where you can get yourself or a loved one the gift of some sweet, sweet Nerd Affiliated merch. That'll do it for me. Steve, play me out of here, please.